every MMA event that you host has to have an AIMMAA officials team, and this officials team requires a minimum of this team. So I'm going to just briefly discuss with you who are these people. Sorry for the spelling mistake. That is, the first person is the event commissioner. The event commissioner is the most experienced MMA official. What the event commissioner does is that he supervises the entire organizing of the event. The event commissioner is the guy who is with you for planning, for permissions, for any technical support to the, whether it is MFN, Super Fight League, or some local sponsor, some sporting promoter, whoever it is. The event commissioner is the guy who will provide with the know-how, technical support, how many officials needed, what are permissions needed. This is the guy who will do it. For many years, I was the event commissioner for most events. Now I have a trained team of event commissioners. Wherever event is happening in India, we will send the event commissioner. Okay. Now we can train your officials. So if you are hosting an event in Mangalore, you don't have to bring all officials from headquarters or any other state. If you have 12 to 15 people, we can bring a team to come at least 1 week before, and we can train your officials team for the event. Okay. So this is our team. First is the chief judge. What the chief judge does is he or she tallies all the scorecards. The scorecards is what the judges use to score the criteria and decision of who has won the fight. After every round, the scorecards are brought to the head table. The chief judge tallies them and he has his own sheet, and that final sheet is put together, and that's how the decision is made regarding who is the winner of the fight. We'll go into details of judging a little later, but right now we are just dealing with the officials. So the judges score the fight. The judges provide the scorecards to the chief judge, and then the chief judge will always confirm with the referee on the final decision, and then the ring announcer goes ahead and makes the announcement. So this is this team who is sitting by the cage. All our officials wear full black. So it's black coat, black shirt, black trousers, black shoes and socks. And the reason we wear all black is because when the cameras are filming, the officials are not easily seen. But if they're wearing white or something, then they are highlighted. So that's why we wear all black. So chief judge works with these judges. The timekeeper table, we always like to have 4 timekeepers. The main clock, the stoppage official, the interval official, and then the signaler. So these are the 4 people we like to have, but you can do an event with 2 timekeepers also. Minimum 2, maximum 4 timekeepers. Timekeeping is very, very important in MMA because the signal of a time, if for example a punch or a kick is being thrown and 1 second before, if the time has been sounded and if the referee allows that punch to hit, then it's an illegal technique if it is after the sound of the timekeeper. So the referee has to work very closely with the timekeeper. So these are the people who work together as a team. Now usually what we like to do is we like to delegate the event. So your chief judge, sometimes with the chief judge we will have a scorecard keeper. If we have a smaller budget, the chief judge will do both the roles. If we have super small budget, the event commissioner will do role of chief judge also and scorecard keeper also. So it all depends on how many people we can bring, if we are able to train people in time, things like that way. Here we don't have any compromise. Referee is the main referee, you have an assistant referee, you have a pat down referee. This is a slightly older presentation, but currently we have total of 4 referees, 1 inside and 3 outside. all the athletes are always placed in 2 holding rooms, red corner and blue corner. In the athlete rooms, the fighters are given briefing, and fighters are not allowed to leave the room from 3 hours of the event towards the starting of the event. Reason is they can tamper with the gloves, they can go into the bathroom and take a injection which will give them a sudden boost of energy, things like that way. So we have all the athletes in red corner and blue corner, and we have complete supervision of all the athletes. All the bags are checked while entering. Sometimes we confiscate and take out things from there. We do a pat down for all the athletes. In the fighter room, the fight room inspectors and the marshals, these are the people who work together. So basically what we do is we divide the entire MMA event into zones. So the first zone is the cage zone. The second zone is the audience area. The third zone is the fight room. So all of these particular areas will have specific officials who are working in each of these zones, and we don't allow officials to leave these areas. They have to stay within that area. The marshals, so fight room inspector, the guys are only in the fighter room. They cannot leave the fighter room. They're always, their eyes is on the fighter room. Sometimes a fight can break out in the red corner itself. Somebody is saying something and somebody uses some bad word to somebody, they start fighting. Fighter, these guys have to make sure that peace is kept, all of that. Those guys should not interfere. He has to take care. The marshal is the guys who walks with the fighter down the ramp from the fight room till the cage. These are marshals. And what the marshals do is that they walk beside the fighter, side by side, and then they escort the fighter till there. The cutmen are the people in between the rounds. They will have something called cold ice, iron, they will have Vaseline, and all superficial cuts the cutmen will deal with. Slight superficial cuts which are there, the cutmen will apply Vaseline. These people, usually we cannot train them 1 week before. These are specialized people. They are like unqualified doctors, cutmen. So cutmen, we have a specific team that comes from Kerala. So usually we ask all of our people to invite this cutman team to work at your event. Every event we have to have a medical team. Your medical team is a must. There is no compromise. You have to have a medical team. All of your medical teams must be led by an emergency doctor. He must be supported by a bone specialist. If you have a sports doctor, it's good, but an emergency doctor is the head guy. Usually what sometimes people, they bring a sports doctor. Sports doctor can deal with cuts, bruises, broken bones, things like that. But when a fighter gets knocked out and he's unconscious, even the sports doctor will want to run away from there, because the fighter getting knocked out is a very scary scene. So an emergency doctor who has dealt with accidents, trauma, all those doctors are best to have at your events. Some years ago, I was invited to Bahrain to train the Bahrain sports team to prepare them for the MMA Federation. When we finished 6 months of training the people, we hosted one event, and I was not allowed to meet with the medical team because some countries have their rules. The doctor team which came there just before the event, the doctor team came and asked us, what is this? What is this? Sports, boxing, what is this? I said, you don't know this is MMA? He said, I don't know what is MMA. They just gave me orders, come and work. So I've come here, and they were Indian guys in Bahrain. So I showed them some video and I said, this is this fights. He says, I'm going. I'm not going. I don't know how to deal with this. He was literally ready to run away and go. Then I told the doctor, don't worry, I will stand with you and I will work with you and I will give you suggestions. And that doctor was so scared. He was so scared. Throughout the event, he was afraid. But we were able to work with him. So you must meet with your doctor and tell the doctor, people will get knocked out, people will get unconscious, there is a chance somebody will die. You have to give him worst case scenario. Then he is prepared. Sometimes people will say, no, nobody will die, nothing. You have to say, there is a chance, there is a risk. Then if you prepare them for the worst, everything happens God's grace, then it is good. So medical team, you have to choose a good team. If you have an emergency response team, 2 ambulances are needed for every event. Why do you need 2 ambulances? When one fighter is injured, the ambulance goes. If the second event starts and the fighter gets injured, you don't have ambulance. So you have to have 2 ambulances. Cutman team covered, medical team covered, marshal team covered, fight room inspector team covered, timekeepers we have covered, judges we have covered, referees, I'm sorry. Mike, just hold on to this phone, please. Referees we've covered, scorecard keeper, chief judge, and event commissioner. Now I've left out on purpose one official, because this official is what I consider the most important official in every MMA event. We list him here as an event coordinator because we don't want to confuse the name, but his actual role is called medical coordinator. The medical coordinator is the guy who has knowledge of MMA knockouts. He has knowledge of MMA injuries. He has knowledge of what happens to a fighter when you don't know, when you don't see any symptoms. One of the most dangerous things in mixed martial arts is a concussion. In a concussion, what happens is a fighter can get a head kick, he can get series of punches, he might seem normal, but after he leaves the fighter room, he can suddenly fall unconscious. Maybe he might be fine the first night. When he goes to sleep, maybe he might have internal bleeding, he might go into a coma. A concussion is one of the most deadliest things for an athlete, and the medical coordinator from AIMMAA is a guy who is trained to look at his body language. You know, sometimes you'll see the eyes slightly blurred. Sometimes you'll see the pupil of the eye is little dilated. Sometimes you'll see that he is, every 1 minute he wants to sit down. You know, when people are talking, he's not responsive. He looks like he's slightly drunk. That means usually these are signs of a concussion. So in Dubai, the fight between Clinton and what's that guy's name? Abhimanyu, Uttarakhand versus Bangalore. In that fight, there were very powerful punches landed by both guys. And in MMA gloves, you have seen the MMA gloves are not like boxing gloves. They're only 3 ounce. So it's almost even deadlier than an actual fist. Both the guys were landing very powerful shots. Both the guys had determination. So after the fight, when the fighters went back to the room, the doctors actually cleared the fighters and, you know, okay, you're good. But our medical coordinator had made some notes that one fighter knocked down, stood up again, knocked down, stood up again. He made notes. And he was looking at the fighter and he realized that there is a chance of concussion. So our medical coordinator told the doctors, please take this guy for an MRI. The doctor said, no, it's not needed. Our medical coordinator said, I insist, send him for MRI. Sent him for MRI. When he went to the hospital, it was declared he had a concussion. He had to stay 2 days, he was given medication, and then he was sent back to India. So this guy is the guy that you have to ensure for every event. Now, when you have a big championship and there are 100 athletes, this becomes a nightmare for the event coordinator, because fighters are coming one after the other, one after the other. One guy is fainting here, another guy is fainting there, another guy is, first time he's fought, his body is shaking, he's saying, Mummy ko bulao, Daddy ko bulao, all those things. So you have to have at least 4 to 5 guys, medical coordinators for championship, because of more athletes. So this is what our official teams look like. You can have 12 people and you can have 18 people, maximum of 18, a minimum of 12 in this entire team to successfully organize an event. So if you are hosting, or if you want to host an MMA event in your city, to complete the sanction process of your event, we always recommend that these officials are part of the event. So when you speak with your sponsor, or whether you plan on investing your own organization money, whether you have some political support, or whether you're getting some funds from somewhere to host the event, the first and foremost, apart from medical, you must invest in these officials, because these officials are the people who will help organize the event in a safe and successful way. Okay, so this is where the officials training concerned. First event, second event we will send, but then now you need your own team. So how to train your team? As AIMMAA, we will train you to do a basic level MMA official seminar, and then your officials can do advanced training with us. We have a level 1 course all the way to level 5. So all our experienced officials are all level 5 officials. Raja Saab is a level 5 official. He has many event experience. He has worked as a medical coordinator also. He's worked as a marshal also. He's worked as an assistant commissioner also. He's worked as a fight room inspector also. He's worked as a judge also. He's worked as a timekeeper. He's got all that experience. More experience, more event, MMA is promoted in the correct way. In 2002, I used to promote something called gym wars. So what we used to do is, my gym, my MMA gym, we used to go to some nearby gym, and we used to say, we feel we are better than you, but we respect you, so we don't want to say anything bad. Why don't you send your fighters to come and compete against our fighters in a friendly competition? So sometimes they used to get upset, sometimes they used to say okay. So we used to invite 5-6 gyms like this, and we used to hold gym wars, and it was mixed martial arts. But we didn't have doctor, because those days it was new. We didn't have doctor, we didn't have officials. So it was me and Alan sir who were hosting the entire event. So I'm giving you an example. One guy comes in, head kick, knockout. When he gets knocked out, the whole public, half of them get up and run outside. Arey, gaya, gaya, gaya. Then we catch the guy, we turn him on his side, because we had little bit experience. As we turn him on the side, allow him to breathe, remove the mouthpiece. Then once he's recovering, then we take him into the washroom, and then we take ice pack, put it at the back of his head. Sometimes we pour some cold water. Then we have him to sit down. Then we don't let him sleep. We say stay awake. All the basic procedures. But we used to do this without any doctors. But now, almost 18 years later, now the entire scene has been developed. So it is good for all of us. So don't try those things. Don't try old school. You should make sure that your event is properly sanctioned.